America knew Harriet Nelson as the perfect TV mother, but she started performing at 6 weeks old in dangerous theaters. She danced at the Cotton Club while mobsters watched. She told dirty jokes at parties. She secretly smoked since age 13. Her first marriage ended in violence and scandal. When the camera stopped rolling, she poured cocktails and embraced people society rejected. The woman who taught America about family values was hiding secrets that would have destroyed her career. Real story changes everything. She wasn't even old enough to hold her head up, but Harriet Nelson was already on stage. Born Peggy Lou Snyder on July 18, 1909, in Des Moines, Iowa, she was just 6 weeks old when she made her theatrical debut. Her parents were actors in a traveling stock company, and they brought their newborn daughter into the act as part of the show. It wasn't a brief appearance or a family photo op, it was an actual role in a real performance. Newspapers at the time even mentioned it. That became one of the earliest documented stage debuts for an infant in American theater. It wasn't just a boot starting young. Harriet was born into a world where the stage was the family's life, and she grew up under the spotlights with audiences watching before she even learned to talk. By age 3, she was already speaking on stage. Her first real speaking role came while performing with her parents' stock company. These weren't small-time productions. The stock companies were relentless, performing different plays each night, often within a single day of rehearsal. Harriet had to learn quickly, adapt instantly, and perform like a pro surrounded by adults. But she wasn't just memorizing lines, she was holding her own. People noticed. She wasn't a novelty anymore. She was a real performer. Despite the constant travel, Harriet still went to school. She studied at St. Agnes Academy, a respected school with strict academic standards. But her education wasn't traditional. During the school year, she stayed grounded in studies. During breaks, she hit the road and took stage. Her parents planned their tours carefully, making sure she could still go to school while performing during holidays. That balance between books and theater took serious discipline. She might have been young, but she was already managing 2 lives, one in classrooms, one under stage lights. Everything changed in 1925. Harriet was just 16 when the split didn't just break the family. It forced her to make a choice between her mother and father, between stability and her dreams. It was a hard, painful moment, and it came right when she was stepping into. But Harriet didn't wait around for life to decide for her. She chose her path, leaned into independence, and moved forward without looking back. That break pushed her to grow up fast. From then on, she wasn't just a child of performers. She was becoming the star herself. Just 3 months before high school graduation, she made another bold move. She dropped out to join the Capitol Theatre Corps to ballet. For most teens, that would have been reckless. But Harriet knew what she wanted. The Capitol Theatre was a serious place. The ballet corps wasn't easy to get into. She traded her diploma for real experience, and that decision paid off. She gained professional training and dove even deeper into live performance. It was a risk, but one that helped shape the rest of her career. Not long after, she found herself performing at one of the most electric and dangerous spots in New York, the Cotton Club in Harlem. It was the late 1920s, and the Cotton Club was the epicenter of jazz and vice. Though located in Black Harlem, it only served white guests. The performers, however, were black, and among them were legends like Duke Ellington, Cab Calloway, and Louis Armstrong. Harriet was there in the thick of it. Each night she performed in a place bursting with music, money, and mobsters. Men like Lucky Luciano and Dutch Schultz were regulars, lurking in the shadows, running the club from behind the scenes. For a young woman, it was as dangerous. It was dazzling. But she didn't flinch. She learned how show business really worked, from its shining lights to its darkest corners. Amid all the glamour and chaos, she also picked up a habit that would haunt her for the rest of her life. At just 13, she started smoking cigarettes. Back then, smoking was part of the culture, especially in entertainment. It made you look older, edgier, more elegant. But the damage started early. Decades later, she would struggle with breathing problems, coughing fits, and lung issues that never went away. Her addiction wasn't just a side note. It was a slow-burning tragedy that followed her all the way to the end. While many performers chased fame, Harriet worked steadily behind the scenes, sharpening her craft in vaudeville. She became the straight woman in comedy acts with legends like Ken Murray and Burt L. She wasn't the one getting the laughs, but she was setting them up perfectly. That kind of timing doesn't come easy. L, who later played the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz, had wild, over-the-top energy. Harriet balanced that with calm, crisp delivery. She was the steady force that made their acts click. City to city, show after show, she never stopped. Vaudeville was exhausting. Traveling constantly, performing multiple times a day. But she kept up and she kept getting better. Then came the big break. The Palace Theater in New York was the holy grail for vaudeville performers. If you played the Palace, you'd made it. Harriet performed there not once, but 4 times in the 1930s. That stage didn't hand out second chances easily. Crowds there were tough. Expectations were high. But every time Harriet delivered, her name got more recognition. Critics noticed. Casting agents noticed. Audiences came back. Her pilot appearances opened doors to the next stage of her career. She had gone from stock company toddler to vaudeville headler. Harriet Nelson was just 21 years old when she made the biggest mistake of her young life. In 1930, she married comedian Roy Sedley, a man 9 years older, smooth-talking, and already deep in New York's wild nightlife. They met at the Cotton Club, a glamorous hotspot full of music, lights, and danger. It felt like a dream at first, but it wasn't long before that dream turned into a nightmare. Sedley was violent, reckless, and dragged Harriet into a world of chaos. She had grown up in show business, but this was something darker, something she hadn't been ready for. The marriage wasn't just troubled, it was cruel. Sedley drank hard, partied harder, and treated Harriet with emotional and verbal abuse that scarred her. He had a temper, he had a crowd of hard-living showbiz friends, and Harriet, still just a young woman, was stuck right in the middle of it. The bright lights of the Cotton Club faded quickly, replaced by fights, threats, and loneliness. Sedley's life wasn't glamorous. It was dangerous, and Harriet was living it night after night. She left him after a year, but legally she wasn't free. That took 2 more painful years. By 1931, she was separated. But Sedley still held power over her life. The courts were slow and Sedley wasn't cooperative, so Harriet kept performing while trapped in legal limbo. She took any job she could. Vaudeville shows, dancing gigs, straight woman roles alongside comedians like Ken Murray and Bert L. She had to smile on stage while dealing with a mess behind the scenes. She couldn't move forward. Not yet. The annulment finally came in 1933. Was over on paper, but the trauma lingered. That same year, something changed. In 1932, still legally married but emotionally free, Harriet met a saxophone player named Harriet Nelson. He was calm, he was smart, he was everything Roy wasn't. Their connection was instant, both on stage and off. But in the 1930s, their bond was controversial. Harriet was still Mrs. Sedley in name, yet here she was performing, laughing, and falling in love with another man. The gossip started fast, but she didn't care. AZ made her feel safe. AZ hired her as the vocalist for his band. She took a new stage name, Harriet Hilliard, to leave her past behind. Most female singers were background noise in big bands. Harriet wasn't. She had charm, energy, and control. Within weeks, she was the center of attention. She didn't need to sing. She entertained. She joked with Ozzy, teased the crowd, and pulled everyone in with her smile. By 1933, she wasn't just recovering, she was rising. That summer, they landed a gig at the Glen Island Casino, a waste place to be. Wealthy crowds, high society guests, and radio broadcast reached across America. Harriet and AZ lit up the stage. Every night, Deplis filled up. Their names were spreading fast. Their chemistry, their music, their story, it all clicked. This wasn't luck. It was lightning in a bottle. AZ saw something else in Harriet, too. He started writing funny duets just for her. Not the typical sweet love songs, but sharp, cheeky numbers where Harriet got the punchlines. One of their biggest hits on Then Some had her teasing AZ right. On stage, the audience loved it. She wasn't just a pretty voice, she was bold, witty, and fearless. It was rare, it was fresh, it was real. Women weren't supposed to talk back like that in the 1930s. Harriet did, and she made it look easy. All of it. The music, the new name. The packed shows was building towards something bigger. In 1935, Harriet married AZ. This time it was different. There were no secrets, just 2 people who understood each other and wanted the same things. A home, a family, a future built on trust, not trauma. The marriage was more than love. It was stability. It was everything Harriet never had with Sedley, and it showed. Within a year, they were working on radio together. By the late 1930s, they were household nuns. Their success didn't just happen. It was earned step by step through pain, risk, and